So, this is the first in maybe a series of videos about different yearly themes that I've done over the years. And I thought I would start with the Year of Health, which I mentioned in the last video, which is about yearly themes in general and why I love them. But the Year of Health was a pretty basic one. It's the one that most people seem to do when they end up doing yearly themes. And for me, the Year of Health was supposed to be a year that I started to go to the gym, started to run, and really focus on my health overall. But I had a couple of minor health investigations that I wanted to get done before, just weird pains and random things that I thought I would get checked out as part of the Year of Health. And I thought those were going to be minor things, but ultimately, those are the things that punctuated the entirety of that year because they became wider and wider investigations with more and more mysterious symptoms. And that led to the entire Year of Health being upended. Ultimately, I actually never started the running or the gym until way later in the year. And the focus of the year ended up being focusing on my sleep, focusing on different health issues that I was dealing with medically. And also, I morphed the year into not just physical health, but also my social health and my spiritual health. So that was the year that I decided to move to London instead of living in my hometown. And the reason I did that was because I thought it would be important to really flourish in my 20s, to really focus on my social health. And I didn't really have a objective reason to move because I could commute into London if I wanted to, but I really just felt like I could cultivate a really rich life if I was to move to the city because that's where everything was happening. And I thought, instead of looking at it objectively, and I think that most people, when they move to a big city, they move because there's a job or some inciting incident that really means that they should move to the city. I didn't have that because I could work from anywhere. But I really thought that in order to live a healthy life, I needed to live a life with a lot of different dimensions. And one of the dimensions I felt was lacking in my hometown, given all of my friends had already moved, was my social life. And so while these medical investigations were going on and I couldn't go all in on my physical health, I could really focus on my social health and my financial health. I had been saving a lot of money and I thought, now I can really start to cultivate my social health. So in this way, the Year of Health became about thinking about what does it mean to be healthy and then pursuing that in the ways that I could, instead of what started at the beginning of the year as a really physical based health and longevity practice. But that's not to say that the health and longevity practice wasn't still incorporated into the Year of Health. Just because I couldn't do any physical exercise didn't mean that I had other physical priorities that I could take care of. And for me, what that looked like was really focusing on my sleep. I started to read around about sleep and not optimizing sleep, but just trying to improve the type of sleep that I got. And I learned the importance of a couple of things. One being my sleep quality, my restedness, but also sleep consistency, sleeping at the same time every day. And this became something that I tried to focus on, not only in that year, but now throughout the rest of my life. I have started to care more about sleep consistency as a part of that Year of Health and the ongoing effects of that after the Year of Health finished, which is not really something I think a lot of people think of. They sort of think that sleep is about getting your good 8 hours, but sleep consistency is also a major part of sleep health. So in this way, my Year of Health started with the idea that I was going to run loads and go to the gym and be really active. And ultimately what it became was getting myself prepared for when I could run and go to the gym and all of those stuff, because I was waiting on the results of this medical stuff. And as a result, I started to look more creatively in terms of how I could implement my Year of Health in different areas of my life. And I think this is the point of a yearly theme rather than a resolution. The theme itself can manifest in ways that you have no way of actually imagining when you first set the theme. But because it's a guiding light in all of the decisions that you're making, when you see an obstacle in the year, you aren't looking at it with the idea that this could be a success or failure for your theme. All you're asking of yourself is, how does my theme relate to this, and how can I make a decision in alignment with my theme given the circumstances that I have? And in this way, I think you get a lot more flexibility around your theme. And the fun thing is, I actually started my running journey in November, and I started going to the gym in December. Sorry, I went to the gym in November, and I started running in December of the year of health. So ultimately, instead of starting the year with running and gym, I ended up ending the year with running and gym. And to me, that's a little bit poetic in the sense that it all built up to the start of the health journey as I envisioned it at the beginning of the year. But I would still consider that to be a really good year because I moved and I felt like I had really started to cultivate my social and intellectual health. And also, it was just a good demonstration of a flexible and really constructive yearly theme in a way that really surprised me. And that was the year of health for me. What also sort of happened is because I had already been training the disposition of considering my health in the decisions that I was making, such as maybe I don't drink soda anymore and I drink orange juice and water, and now I try to avoid even orange juice. I just like water at this point. That's not to say that I don't treat myself, but generally these are things that I discovered about health, and what was healthy, and I modified my behavior. All of that to say, because my disposition had changed from the year of health, this year, which was not the year of health, last year was the year of health, this year I have been a lot more dispositionally focused on my health because I had the training from last year, and I see the effects of that this year because I spent this year going to the gym somewhat inconsistently and continuing to focus on my health with the medical stuff that's still ongoing, unfortunately, but still finding ways to manifest new, healthy, focused behaviors. And I think that all of that is credit to the yearly theme and the way that it oriented my disposition for hopefully the rest of my life. And the good thing is that if my disposition around health decays, I can always just do another year of health. There's nothing stopping you from doing another year that you've done before if you feel like that's what is calling to you. I don't know if I would do the same year twice in a row because I think that there's a little bit of novelty and excitement around adding a new disposition to your way of being. So that's some thoughts on maybe doing a second theme. The one thing I will say at the end of this, and maybe I'll talk about this in a different video, I did once do a theme that was about maintenance, and that theme was the only one I think ended up not being a success. And I think the reason was that it did not change my disposition. It was necessarily a conservative idea in the sense that it was conserving the dispositions I already had and not challenging any of them. And I think that led to stagnation. But that's all of my thoughts on the year of health, and I will talk about some other years later.